Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with the first draft of 2025 for your boys. If you followed us at all last year, you know we were doing this just about every Monday at 4 p.m. We're looking at doing it actually Wednesday at 4 p.m. this year. For those that missed the announcement, I do have a baby on the way, so the schedule might get a little bit thrown off. We might not be able to hit exactly 4. If you follow at Roto Street Wolf, I will always be there to let you know if and when we're going to be going live. But I am so pumped to dive in. Now, this is not my first draft. I can't imagine it's your exact first draft yet, Mo. We've been in a few of these. We know who we're targeting. We know the general edges we're trying to attack, the rookies that feel like great values despite not even knowing where they land. All of that is stuff we are going to discuss as we get going live here from the 10 spot. It is looking like it just filled. So we cannot wait, though. I'm so pumped. This was such a fun series to do throughout the year last year, Mo. And we actually did pretty well, too. I know in your account, we got a nice little boost. I think we hit about $1,000 of the drafts that I did, about 500 on the ones that you did from your account. So we're rolling in with some free rolling money here. So I'm pumped, baby. But let's go, Mo. How are you feeling about the first draft of 2025?
It's once again, it's always weird to be drafting in March for a season that won't start in August. But I mean, we did it last year. I remember last year, I think our second or third draft of the year was right around St. Patrick's Day. So we're in the same time frame. I'm happy to be back. This is my third draft, third or fourth. I've been hitting a few of them here and there. Just trying to kind of still take in everything from last season and kind of get a grip on this rookie class, really taking a deep dive into figuring out some of these guys. I was actually at the combine last week, and I was getting ripped on for not knowing a whole lot about like the defensive tackles. I'm like, I'm here to talk to the running backs. Like, give me all the DJ Giddens and the RJ Harvey talk. I'm not really here to talk Charles Cross with you. So the fantasy relevant rookies, that's what really gets it going for me, and it's interesting and fun to react to these new ADPs. I really. It's so weird seeing Bucky Irving going at the 2-3 turn now, and seeing just how these like prominent rookies of just flying up draft boards. It really just doesn't feel right for some of these guys. I understand like they've broken out, they're like the future studs of the league, but it's just like after clicking Bucky Irving and what was it, the 14th round last year, all summer long basically, and maybe he did climb up there a little bit. I can't remember what he closed at, but like just seeing some of these guys that just like are like 10 rounds different, it just kind of feels a little bit wrong, but it is what it is. You see the talent on the field and you got to adjust.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the first points we don't have an agenda today. We don't have an exact talking points, but we did want to talk about general edges in these early drafts. And last year, and in general with these big board drafts through 3 years of them now, we're drafting on Underdog, of course, $10 draft, 200,000 grand prize, 2 million in total prizes. Use code RSJ if you're somehow not on Underdog. I have a feeling if you're watching this in March, though, you're well established on Underdog. But it is often drafting those rookies, and Bucky Irving was a huge target of ours, even after that bad combine. Our guy Duck, who's great with running backs, we're about to pick, but he loved Bucky Irving. I loved what I saw at Oregon. And ultimately, that was huge. I had a really big success in the big board of all my kind of portfolios. That pre-draft portfolio was my most successful. This comes down to Malik Neighbors versus Brian Thomas, a very interesting debate here. You starred Neighbors, and I'm all about it. I would go Neighbors myself. What the man did with absolute garbage throwing him the rock was insane. So to think that whether it's Cam Ward, a veteran, maybe both is what the sounds are, it seems to me like Neighbors is that last was his floor, and it was so impressive. So I'm going Neighbors. But what about you? Because I know you talked to Liam Cohen himself about Brian Thomas, and he had some encouraging things to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about as big of a Brian Thomas guy as they come, but it's just after seeing the target earning capabilities of Malik Neighbors last year, led the league in target share, and I think he was second to Puka Nacua in targets per route run last season. But it's just hard to deny the volume. But what do you do here? Do you go Bowers?
I go Genty. I'm all about Genty. I think he's in that level of Saquon prospect. that just cannot miss. And whoever takes a stab on him is probably going to take him in that early first round. So you got the capital attached. You got a guy that can do it on all three downs. And I truly think he's in that Bijan Saquon mold, maybe a little better than Bijan in my opinion. So yeah, I'm all about Genty without knowing the landing spot, but knowing that whoever does invest in him is going to be putting probably top 10 capital overall. And ultimately, you're turning the keys over. So I think a Saquon rookie season is not out of the question here. I think he's going to – this is one of the biggest takeaways of this class. We're just hinting at rookies. This is a great rookie running back class, headlined by Ashon Genty in a tier of his own. But there's so many valuable, like I call them the value holes, the landing spots that could yield so much value. And I really do think if I had to pick one storyline, like what is this year going to be about? What especially are these early drafts going to be about? It would be these rookie running backs. If you get the right ones in the right homes, let's say you get the Minnesota running back. Let's say you get the Chargers running back, the Cowboys running back. There's so much talent about to come into the league. We saw the 40 time was a collective best in the last decade, I want to say. And I know 40 is not everything, but the tape, everybody's just talking about how deep and how great this class is, and I fully buy into it. And there's just so many great spots for him to land. So I do think hitting these rookie running backs is going to be one of the biggest edges you can get right now. And starting with Genty, the cream of the crop there. So I'm all about it. I think that is phenomenal there. And we do have Chuck. We have some people tuning in. Awesome. Love to see it. Feel free to get those questions on in. Let's tackle this one. You guys can kind of drive the show with us as well. Everyone's telling me to ship off Tyrone Tracy for a second rounder this year. Are there really 15 better players than him in this draft class? Do you want me to give my take first? Because I know you don't do a ton of Dynasty, but I know you know these rookies so far too.
I'll give my take. I wouldn't. I would hold. I don't think Devin Singletary is a zero. I don't think that he's going to be much of a factor next year. It's really just who comes in as the rookie. It's basically a guarantee that they're going to bring in a rookie. But like you said, it's hard to justify the fact that there 15 better rookies. I think the answer is no. I'd hold here. We saw his ability. It's the same coaching staff. Somehow Dable's kept his job, and the front office has held onto their jobs throughout this the Daniel Jones debacle. And the fact that it's the same coaching staff, we've seen these guys throw Tracy out there for 80% of snaps in games. I don't know if he quite hit 80, but he definitely pushed for it in certain games. So knowing that there's a level of consistency rolling year to year. I mean, obviously the talk of just straight running back talent is one thing, but we all know that in fantasy football, coaching staff plays such a massive role, more than any other position when it comes to running backs. So just the consistency of the coaching staff makes me want to hold on to it. Obviously no one thinks that Tyrone Tracy is going to be a long-term dynasty asset who's going to be a startable running back for you for the next 8 years. But I do think that there's a very real chance that he holds value for this one season. And I don't think a second rounder would be enough for me to part ways with him, especially if he's some guy that could slot into your lineup as an RB2 next season.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I do love Tyrone Tracy. I had him pretty much universally in all my leagues off the waiver wire. We're going to have to make our pick, Chuck. But I was just hinting at the fact that this running back class is so phenomenal. And it really does depend how early they make that investment and who that player is. If it's a Quinshon Judkins, if it's a Omarion Hampton, and we'll make our pick here. I do like who you queued up. I do love Mike Evans still as well. I'm down for either Evans or Lamar. I'll let you make the call there.
That's an easy one for me.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me. Pushing for 1,000 yards rushing, 4,000 yards passing. What do you have? 38 or 40 passing touchdowns, 3 picks in the regular season.
Yeah.
We'll see if they make any moves to add a weapon this offseason. I know a lot of people want them to. I don't think that Zay Flowers is a true wide receiver one at this point, but this offense can clearly function at a very, very high level. I mean, Lamar just came off the most fantasy points by a quarterback of all time in a single season. I'm more than fine clicking him at the end of round 3.
I know, and I love that, again, the consistency of the offensive coordinator. Year 3 of Monken, who's one of my favorite play callers in the league. I loved him back in his Tampa Bay days. I've been following this Monken guy. I'm a huge fan of him, and I'm loving that Lamar still has him. I'm glad he didn't go as a head coach to another team. I love Chase Brown here. I know wide receiver starts to get thin fast, so we could tack on Zay and stack him. But there are some exciting rookie receivers that really surprised and tested well too. So I don't think we have to go receiver, but we could stack up Lamar and Zay, or we could go Chase Brown following here. I'm down.
I'm just going to go with Zay here.
Perfect. And I think Chase, too, he transitions nicely while we're talking about Tyrone. There's a great podcast I'd recommend everybody listens to, Legendary Upside, just in general, great podcast. But they had an episode, I want to say about a month ago, on running back landmines and these backfields that, given how good this class is, that could get shaken up in a huge way. And Chase Brown and the Bengals are in that kind of, that target zone that they could add somebody significant. They've even talked about we want to add a bigger back to complement him. Now, it depends how early they do. They also talk about liking Chase Brown as a potential 3-down back and know that he can get it done in any situation. Whereas Tracy, I think, is a little bit more vulnerable at this point. I do worry that they're probably, as good as Tracy was and so impressive converting from a receiver to a running back and doing it in every facet of the game, I do worry that there might be 8 to in my tiers, all the way down to maybe even Dylan Sampson, like at least at the same level of Tracy. So if you get a Judkins, a Hampton, a Travion Henderson, there are people that I think are just flat out better than Tracy. Now, does the team feel the need? They have so many holes. Are they really going to spend valuable capital at running back? Hopefully not, but it's the Giants. They're a horrendously run organization right now. So it wouldn't stun me at all. I do think Tracy's probably safe. If it's a mid to late second, I'd probably still hold. But I don't know. I'm on the fence, and that's how good I think this running back class is. And I think the receivers are getting a little overlooked as well. I mean, you think about last year's class, I think if you think of a Tyrone Tracy talent entering last year, is there 15 rookies actually better than this, middling RB2? You look at the 2021, the 2024 class last year, and the hard answer is yes, like by a mile, those top 15 players, like you could go down the list. I'd take every single one of them over a middling RB2. And this is a pretty athletic class, even at the receiver position. So Chuck, I think I'm pulling the trigger myself, and I'm just hoping to see what falls to me. That's how good I think this running back class is. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Tracy leaves the draft as like the clear running back 2 now on his team, given the talent that they could add. It worries me for sure. So
yeah, it's definitely a legitimate outcome that the Giants draft someone in the first 3 rounds there. After the combine, it's hard to see a lot of these guys making their way into day 3. There's going to I think a lot of these legitimate prospects are going to be snatched up in the second round. It's hard to see the Travion Hendersons and the Quinshon Judkins and all those guys. Like who do you think is like a guy who could, like last year we had Bucky Irving, made it to round 4, but makes his way into being very fantasy relevant. Is there a guy you think that could still like be on the board in day 3 that could be a fantasy relevant guy?
Well, Tutin's probably not falling there.
Yeah, no, he's looking like he's going to be like a top 80 pick.
Absolutely. So a few of my favorites, I mean, I wonder where RJ Harvey will go. He'll probably even go in the top 3 rounds as well. Jordan James did underwhelm at the combine, Bucky Irving's teammate there, but he forced a timeshare with Bucky, and his film is great. I really like James. I was definitely underwhelmed, similar to how I was underwhelmed with Bucky's combine last year, but if that underwhelming combine leads to him falling, I could see him being a beast in day 4. And there's some just like big bodies that could just eat touchdowns. Ollie Gordon, there's just so many names in this class that could be a major thorn. I love my favorite like sleeper of this class, and I'm taking him with my last pick in every single draft I do right now, is the Rocket, Raheem Sanders. I think he is a beast. Great zone runner. Obviously a hugely impressive athlete for his size. So I like going one of the Saints here. You queued up Olave already. I like either him or Kamara. And I'm cool. I think Olave is there's a pretty good teardrop after him at receiver. And now we've got 3 guys I really feel good about. As much as the market's changed a bit after it was such a wide receiver avalanche last year, and then we saw these running backs just kind of come in and be far and away the most valuable, it's still tough to get far behind at wide receiver. So, and then Kamara is still sitting there for us. So I don't hate that. I do like Godwin, who you queued up there too. I don't hate Montgomery or just sneaking in a Caleb Johnson or Judkins here. I'm into all of those moves potentially.
I feel like we have to. I like Godwin here.
just wrap up our fourth receiver. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm good with it, especially given that it seems likely he's back to the Bucks. I know they lost Liam Cohen, but same type of system going on there.
Yeah, exactly. The talks of Godwin back to the Bucks have slowed down a little bit, but it's still seeming like that's like the goal. The new league year is what, the 10th?
Yes, the legal tampering period begins on Monday, which is kind of the true free agency period. Yes.
Yeah, so they'll try to get that deal worked out. The next 5 days is what the reports kind of seem like, and then if not, he'll test the open market. But for the time being, it does seem like he'll be back with the Bucks, which I do think is the optimal fantasy situation in terms of just kind of the consistency and the chemistry with Baker Mayfield. So I think that's kind of what you're hoping for in terms of a landing spot. So, and I'm fine to grab him there. I like him in the 6th round. I mean, that's kind of close to where he was going last year. And I mean, obviously no more Liam Cohen, but he's still quite obviously, quote unquote, has it. And coming off the ankle injury, we'll see, but I'm more than fine to scoop him up there. But Chris Olave is another guy that I'm more than fine to grab there. I mean, as of now, like as much as I love Rashid Shaheed and I will prop him up as much as I can, like Olave's like the one guy that I like on that roster that is going to go out there and earn targets next year, even in a new offensive scheme. Like Rashid Shaheed, like who knows what that was? Like maybe he was just like Clint Kubiak was just really high on him and he wanted him to be a part of that offense, but he is not a caliber of talent where you can sit down and guarantee like, I know this guy is going to have a role in this offense where he's going to get 6 to 8 targets a game like we were seeing at times with him last year. So I think Olave in the 5th round is a great value at the back end of the 5th because you know that he's a targeter and I know he hasn't reached that ceiling that we've all been hoping for over these last couple of years, but in the 5th round, that just really seems like a floor-based bet there.
You slandering Rashid Shaheed over there? I never thought I'd see the day. The biggest stan of Shaheed I've ever met is now saying he's no guarantee. I can't believe it.
No slander. Just have to reality check yourself from time to time. I mean, you got to know what it is. It's by no means a guaranteed role for Shaheed next season, unfortunately.
I'm with you, and I'm happy to see Kellen Moore, a bright offensive mind, come on in there. I think he can certainly unlock some explosivity. Derek Carr strapped attack. It's never all that exciting, but I am a fan of that. See, you started Pollard, not a guy particularly high on my radar. Is Juwan Jennings? Did he already go? I'm guessing he's gone at this point.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, it looks like the receivers, and this is why it's nice to have our 4 receivers here in the mix. I don't mind getting Baker here, and we already have Lamar, so we don't need to necessarily force that. This is where the running backs are drying up faster. This is I'm fine with Pollard. I think he's probably the safest bet at this point. It's just unsexy, but you could go Myers too, or Ayuk without. We'll take Pollard.
I think Pollard is a good pick. It was a disaster of an offense last year. He was banged up and playing through injuries throughout the year. Still a 1,000-yard rusher. He looked like that explosivity, like that second gear that we saw 2 years ago in Dallas. It looked like it was back at times. I mean, that, or at least it's seeming like that they're going to be adding a rookie quarterback to hopefully elevate this offense. If they don't trade out of the first pick, it's seeming like it's going to be Cam Ward with the 101. So I don't know. It's an offense that could be ascending. I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket and say the Titans are an offense that are going to take a step forward next year. But let's make this pick real quick. Do you want to grab Andrews here?
Yeah, I think stack him up with Lamar. I know there was rumblings he could get released, but it seems like he's going to be staying. He played some great ball by the end of last year. I think he was entered the year hurt. So I like how he finished the year. I think that's great to keep stacking up this Ravens offense. So I'm all in on that. I like that. Yeah, I mean, you put together an interesting case on Pollard. Keep going.
Like, I mean, it really is what it is. Like, it was like he's just kind of like one of those overlooked guys. Like, the explosivity numbers, just like how he looked on the field in terms of explosiveness, they're all there. He was playing in arguably the worst offensive environment in the league, and like I get that. Tyjae Spears had, what was it, like 4 touchdowns at the end of the year, 5 touchdowns, where he was like getting drives here and there, but Spears is not like a difference maker to me. I know like he had some PPR intrigue coming into his rookie season and in his sophomore campaign, but I really do think that it's a pretty big tier gap between Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears in that backfield. They gave him a sizable contract last offseason. There's a case to be made that this offense is going to take a step forward without Will Levis and or Mason Rudolph under center. So I just like, I like what I saw last year in terms of just an individual talent. I think it could get better around him. It's just like, it's not a super exciting pick, but like he was getting 80% of the snaps at times. I was obviously with Spears off the field, but it was a pretty heavy workload. And I just really think that he has a real chance to kind of push Spears off the field. And I like, there's a reality that like Spears kind of not development, but like his increased usage down the stretch there was simply a fact that they were just kind of understanding that Pollard's a veteran. The season was out of reach. He was banged up throughout the year. It was either a foot or an ankle. They were kind of just slowing him down with the season wrapping up. Like I really do think there's a reality where Pollard ices Spears out of this backfield next season.
I like Spears. Maybe that's where our disagreements are coming here. I think Spears showed a lot in his brief, especially towards the end of the year when they finally started to use him. He's so explosive when he gets the ball. And again, all these kind of crusty veterans, they do worry me a bit just given how good this class is. One running back I did fail to shout out to, because you were asking me my favorite, day 3 sleepers. And again, I don't know if this guy will go to day 3 at this point, is DJ Giddens. I know a lot of people talk about him after that combine, but I've probably done about 40 to 50 of these drafts, and I have about 65% Giddens. I've been drafting him from day one. I loved the kid. I loved his tape, and then to see the athleticism match it was phenomenal. CJ's really high on him as well. And so I was hammering him in like 210 for forever. And now he's up to 180. So it always feels good to get that little 30 ADP gain just because of a combine. But I'm intrigued by all of these rookies, and that's where a guy I did like what Pollard did last year. He had some massive gains, and I do totally get that the environment can only really get better. There should be a massive quarterback upgrade coming. But what if they do add a monster just goal line back and make a 3-headed nightmare? We know Callahan has done committees. It's a tricky one for sure. But for who was available there, I was hoping Tracy might follow us after we were talking about him at length, but I'm okay with Pollard for sure. Now I do like Ramondre, and I know you start Etienne as well. And there he goes. Because I was going to say, I actually like straight up, I think I like Ramondre more than Pollard, and I know how far ago that was. At this point, I'd move Etienne up, and I think he's the pick here. I do also really like Charbonnet. I'd go with Etienne though. I like Liam Cohen. But I'm a big fan of Charbonnet. And, what a topic we could probably have when we get back into the regular groove of like having a segment is who were some of the bigger risers from the coaching carousel. And I do think Ken Walker, Charbonnet with Kubiak coming in there, just always the Kubiak scheme is the running back maker. And so I am a fan of that. I do think Walker's the clear one, but we saw what Charbonnet could do in fill-in duty. Some say he's a better zone runner than Walker himself. I do like Charbonnet. I don't hate that pick right here. I'm surprised Bateman went. I was expecting to be able to stack that one up pretty easy. You want to just roll with Charbonnet?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I was expecting Bateman to be there as well, but kind of changing gears here and opening a little bit of a can of worms here. We see, I'm trying to find him. We see Jonnu Smith go at the 9-9, I believe it is. Pick 104, 9-8. Pick 104. And I've been having like an internal thought process about the Miami Dolphins offense all offseason. Like I cannot wrap my head around what happened here last year. Like, is Tyreek Hill toast? I don't know if you saw the same graphic that I saw, but Tyreek Hill, like his top speeds last year were like nowhere near where they were last year. Or like, so like, the offense last year, we saw it philosophically change. It's a lot of quick game, a lot of quick hitters underneath to Devon Achane and Jonnu Smith. Is that purely a philosophical change from Mike McDaniel because he believes that Tyreek Hill is done, and not necessarily that he believes, but he sees that Tyreek Hill isn't really getting it done downfield to the same degree as he was in the past? Or was it just because the offensive line was so bad last year? We know that Teron Armstead was playing on like half a knee last year. He was barely out there when he was healthy. The offensive line in general was just not well put together and not well constructed from a roster building standpoint. So they were kind of set up for failure from the beginning, and then it did fail, and Tua was kind of under siege. So did Mike McDaniel make that adjustment to help out with the offensive line play, or is it just because the downfield talent in the wide receiving core isn't there anymore? So like if the offensive line, what I'm saying is to get to like, if the offensive line play improves, are we going to see them airing the ball out more downfield? And can Tyreek Hill do that these days? I don't know, but is it going to go to Jalen Waddle? I don't know, but like I've just been having this internal dialogue because obviously we saw a massive stylistic change from Mike McDaniel and this offense last year, but like what was it driven by? There's like two obvious reasons, not obvious, but two candidates. And I just really can't make up my mind as to what I think was the legitimate reason why.
I'm leaning more towards the line. I think both of them are good debates, and maybe Tyreek did lose a step or five. He did not look good. I know he was playing hurt for a ton of the year. He is the type of guy. I know he is the type of guy that I could see just being like, screw all of you. I'm going to come back and I'm going to just be, Tyreek of old. I don't think it's that McDaniels wants to philosophically change. We've seen multiple years of his track record wanting to be high flying, wanting to be explosive. So whether or not Tyreek has the goods to keep delivering that, whether they add some injections to be able to kind of give themselves some rope if Tyreek does drop down. I know it's our pick here, but I think it was the line. I think they had to get that ball out, and ultimately that. So who's on the board? I can't see who we got. So
we could go Cam Ward and just kind of pray that they grab the Giants grab him, or we can go a tight end here. I'm fine with either.
I like going Loveland. I like getting a little
fine with me. Yeah, I mean, could easily be the tight end one off the board. A lot of people have them as their tight end one. So yeah, that's fine with me. But how are you kind of approaching these rookie quarterbacks, and like, are you pegging any of these guys for a job in like, do you have them slotted in anywhere and that you're using for stats?
Do you have it sorted by your rank or ADP right now?
I just have it sorted by ADP.
Okay, cool. I do love Neil here. I'm into the rookies, but again, a lot of them they're saying, Cam Ward will go pick one of the Giants, but they're going to pair him with Rodgers and stuff. So I don't like Cam Ward here. I love Devin Neal. He's one of my favorite rookie runners of this class. I'd much rather go him than Cam Ward. So at minimum, I'd like to see him queued up. Just go him.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
He's my favorite. He's like my sneaky favorite, and people are kind of dogging him right now because his combine wasn't amazing. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like that's all we had to go on, but I'll buy this dip 10 out of 10 times. It wasn't a bad combine by any means for his size, and it's just so many players thrived around him. But I think he's going to be a monster. And this is making me feel a lot better about the Godwin pick. I know in that range we're like, oh, do we go Judkins? Do we go? Caleb Johnson might have gone the pick before us, but that is a good range to get those guys. I'm seeing these receivers though go flying. One of my kind of like safety valve, like ripcord, I need an upside receiver in this range for a while has been Travis Hunter and Trey Harris. And again, we don't even know if Travis Hunter is going to be a receiver or a corner, and that is risky. But when you get to the 120s, like if he is a full-time receiver, you're now talking about like a guy that should have been going top 40. And so I love pulling him, but he's now bumping up. And then Trey Harris is another one of those guys with just such insane production in the SEC, like the Ole Miss, like the receiver U, other than LSU, of course, and OSU, I guess, is up there these days too in terms of the receiver production. But Ole Miss has had some absolute freak shows come through there, and I think Trey Harris is the next big one to come through.
Obviously, it was skewed by a small sample size. Did you see Trey Harris's yards per route run against man last season?
Wasn't it like well over 5, like something crazy like that?
It was like 10 on PFF.
Oh my god! I think his yards per run against anything was like 6.5, and man was just crazy.
It
I
was
think
like
that's
a few routes. So like obviously I haven't seen all of his man-to-man coverage routes, so there must have been like a busted play in there somewhere. But like it was something like 80 routes and it was like 10 yards per route run. It was just ridiculous.
He's a
Against
monster.
me.
And then he's telling us he wants to, what was it, eat the defensive back souls when he's
Yep.
out there, I think was his quote. Like, I love it. Sign me all the way up. I know it's dumb to kind of like jump into a quote like that, but I'm all for it. Eat souls. All right, Trey Harris, eat some souls for my fantasy team. Let's go. So he's one of my favorite picks. If we're just kind of shouting out a few of our random picks, I was going to say, I think I take Ramondre straight up over Tony Pollard, which I know they have about a full round separating those two at this point. But I think they've already talked about Vrabel. He's going to build through the trenches, although let's start building. We're seeing the Bears do it. I love what the Bears are doing right now, getting Tooney for cheap, getting Jonah Jackson for a 6-rounder. Why are the Patriots not doing anything? I don't know. They're going to build the trenches. Okay, I love the sound of it, but the actions are not getting backed up. But I do believe they will at least draft some talent, hopefully sign some of these big free agents. And I still think Ramondre on a big contract right now, they're not going to invest too heavily at the back position. There are the rumblings they might be interested in Genty. I don't buy that. Come on. I think Ramondre is a screaming bargain right now, in addition to all the rookie running backs we've talked about, in addition to Trey Harris, who we were just talking about. Those are some of the guys that stand out to me. Is there any guys, I know you said, again, you've only done a few of these drafts, but is there somebody you're like, I keep seeing this guy and I keep clicking him?
Yeah, one of the guys I do really like from the rookie class that I will be gobbling up the slip for is Caleb Johnson. I really enjoyed what I saw from him on tape,
Yeah.
and I just really think he's a guy that can translate to the NFL. He's not going to be that breakaway runner. We like people are discounting him for his 40 time. We already knew that. What did he weigh in at the combine? Like 225. But let's make our pick real quick.
Yeah. Beast.
Yeah. Let's make our pick. I like one of these receivers here. I don't mind going with Amari Cooper. I really do still think he's got some juice.
I'd rather go the rookie there.
Yeah.
Myself, Alomar, he had a great combine. His route scoring in the nines, big boy that can move, get all the back shoulders.
Yeah, I like Aya Manor.
It's been such a proven cheat code, like time and time again in these big board drafts. Just hammer rookies. Lad McConkey last year was going right where we just took. You just don't know which one's going to go to the Chargers, which one's going to end up with the Cowboys wide receiver too, which one's going to land in these right spots. There's so many valuable openings, and I know everyone's hyping running back as they should. Great class. I think the reverse was true last year, where everyone's hyping receivers, and there was actually some decent running backs. We got to make our pick. I don't hate Cooper. Maybe Cam Ward though. Here we don't have a backup yet, right?
Yeah, I like Cam Ward. Just considering
this is a nice range. Yeah, this is
there's a real chance we can pair him with Malik Neighbors. Like it's obviously not the favorite, but there's rumblings there, and they seem to be legitimate. So
I think that's honestly maybe the favorite to get Cam Ward. My only concern is it like a lot of that talk, like I was saying earlier, is paired with Cam Ward plus Rodgers or Cam Ward and a veteran.
That would be a nightmare.
I don't see
that happening. Like, I don't know. It's just in today's NFL, like you know the value of a rookie contract. Like I get it with a guy who is like a Jackson Dart, but I'm not even a Shador guy. But like if you're drafting Shador or Ward in the top 10 picks, and I know a lot of people think that Shador might slip down to the back end of the first round. I think he went 21 in Dane Brugler's latest mock. So there's some people, like legitimate people out there, who think he's going to slip, but I just don't. If you're investing significant draft capital, I don't know how you can also go out and spend money on a quarterback. And I know that we saw it with the Falcons and it ended up being the right decision, but like Aaron Rodgers isn't going to take a team friendly deal. He's not going to sign a $20 million contract for next season. I mean, unless I just have an incredibly wrong read on who Aaron Rodgers is as a quarterback, like I don't think he's gonna just play to play. I do think he's gonna want some money there. So I don't know. I don't see like with who is on the market. I don't see the Giants getting Sam Darnold and then drafting a quarterback. I think that they would obviously do something else if they bring in Sam Darnold. So you just really have these crusty old veterans, and I don't know. I just don't. I don't see them investing significant money or one of these like really bad veterans getting significant playing time over Cam Ward.
Yeah, I think all that is fair, and I think what maybe the Titans just stay pat and take him, and I still am intrigued to see what Callahan does. I'm not willing to throw in the towel on him quite yet, given Will Levis last year was absolutely atrocious. I just see Adam Thielen go. He's a guy that I've somehow ended up with like 50% of on all my teams. I love the value right now, 170. The guy just keeps getting it done. Top 25 wide receiver in points per game in back-to-back years, going as the wide receiver 70 once again. It's just an unsexy pick. Maybe he's with the Panthers where he's been thriving, maybe not. But I'm a big fan. We do have a keeper question from the Figure Report. And guys, get those questions on in. Happy to answer them. Hate to see DJ Giddens go right there, by the way. That's what I was really hoping to queue up at our pick. Who would you pick for a keeper in 9th round? Brock Bowers or BTJ? Whew, love them both. I got to go with Brian Thomas as of today. If they sign Godwin, if they make any moves, maybe we reconsider that. But BTJ is just a locked-in first rounder for me, whereas Bowers is an early second rounder in my rankings. Still love the guy, love the positional edge right now. And you got to expect a quarterback upgrade for him too. But I'm so excited to see what Liam Cohen does. I think you were the one that drew that quote out of him that's going all the rounds, right? From Liam Cohen. What was the wording there?
Yeah. Let's make our pick and then I'll talk about it. But who do you like here? I'm a big is it Jalen Noel or Jalen Noel? Either way, the kid out of Iowa State. I really liked what I've read and what I've seen about him so far. Is there another rookie receiver you like to grab in this range?
I like all of them. I like Restrepo. I do like Royals. I feel like Noel might make his way to us in the next round too.
I'm trying to double tap.
Restrepo, just because he's that classic, like always open quarterback best friend type of guy that he's going to have a clear role, and so will Royals too. So I'm a fan of him. Who's the guy? There's a guy that's been getting linked to the Rams a lot because he's a great blocker. I think it's actually the guy we took, Alec. I think everybody keeps.
Oh yeah, I am Manor.
Yeah. A lot of people citing him as like a phenomenal blocker, the Cooper Kupp replacement. Like that would just be a absolute steal if we found that at this price tag right here. These rookie receivers, though, I think they're getting dumped on, and I don't think they deserve it. Just because it's such a good running back class. I do like Hunter Henry here. I don't think what rookie did Tootin already go? I'm sure he did. But
he went like in the 140s.
Yeah. Oh my good God.
He's getting steamed.
Yeah, he is getting steamed.
I'm gonna take Henry here.
Yeah, I love Henry. Last time with McDaniels, Henry, I believe, scored 9 touchdowns. He always was solid. And him and May had a nice connection last year. Hooper's a free agent, so hopefully he's out of there, not nibbling any more cheese there. So yeah, I'm a big fan. But you did talk to Liam Cohen, right? I mean, you have some crazy people you've been talking to. But who did you go, BTJ or Bowers? I know it's kind of leading into what you're probably going to say, but let's answer the question while you answer it too.
Yeah. So for me, it's Brock Bowers, just because I think that BTJ, like in a vacuum, will score more fantasy points than Brock Bowers last year, but you're getting a wide receiver one that you can put in your tight end slot. Like there's probably 15 receivers that you can make the argument for that can produce to the level that we expect BTJ to do next year, maybe even 20 receivers that you can make the argument for, but there's 1 tight end who can produce like Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers can produce like a top 10 wide receiver. Like you can make no one would be shocked if we lived in a world next year where Brock Bowers scores as many fantasy points as Brian Thomas Jr. So it's a wide receiver playing tight end. He's the engine of the passing attack in Las Vegas. So there's just, given the drop off in talent at tight end and just the fantasy production aside from the talent, it's Brock Bowers to me. But yeah, you talked about it there for a second. Yeah, I'm a huge Brian Thomas guy. I talked with Liam Cohen at the combine. I was the fantasy guy fishing for fantasy quotes from the coaches at the combine. I asked him about Brian Thomas Jr.'s versatility, and he talked about how excited he is to have him lining up in the slot next year. We see them release Christian Kirk today. opening up slot snaps for Brian Thomas Jr. And then the crown jewel that everyone ran with was Liam Cohen saying that our passing attack is going to run through Brian Thomas Jr. next year. So it's really obvious that they have big plans for this guy. I think he's very deserving of that 111 ADP. There's just every single reason to be excited about him. Like how I frame the question, and which is why you should be so excited when I talked to Liam Cohen about it, is like we saw this guy go from a guy who everyone just thought was a downfield threat, a vertical receiver, and he's getting end arounds and screen passes by the end of the year. Like everything that they're doing is designed around Brian Thomas Jr. And it seems very clear and very apparent that Liam Cohen's plan is to do the same thing. He literally said it, that this passing attack is going to flow through him. He's proven that he can do everything. He can do things in the shallow area of the field. He can operate in tight spaces. He's not just a vertical guy. So with that kind of a talent, that well-rounded talent, and on top of speed that can take the top off a defense, like you should be excited about this guy. But just given the positional value, you should be equally excited about Brock Bowers. And given the positional value, I think you have to keep him there.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I just see how good that Cohen, the layup looks he gave for Godwin, for Evans, having both of those guys having career setups last year. It was running wide open all the time, both those guys. And Brian Thomas, 7 touchdowns out of the slot last year, led the NFL despite playing like only 20% of his snaps there. So you love to see that. I like Brashad Smith here. I already talked about the Rocket. We do have Olave, so given that there is some question about Cam Ward, I don't hate Derek Carr there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's just stack him up because you don't know what the bye weeks will be. You don't know when Cam Ward, hopefully he's starting from day one, but it's not a guarantee. So I like that. I do like the Jackson Dart throws at this point as your QB3 when you have a guy like Lamar. It's kind of nice to take a shot at that upside. But I do like Brashard Smith, converted wide receiver. Do you want to just pull up the running backs? I want to just kind of scroll through real quick and see what RBs are on here. I like LaQuint Allen quite a lot. You want to star some of these guys. Jordan James, we talked about. I like him. I do like Trevor Etienne. I thought he looked good. I love Raheem Rocket Sanders as well. So those are all some guys I'd throw out there. Savion Williams was impressive after the catch. There's some.
Yeah. Let's grab him. I like Savion Williams.
Yeah, right there. I'm a big fan of him at receiver, and we're getting close to where we don't even need maybe one more receiver because we started so hot at wide receiver that I don't know that we need more than 8.
Yeah, probably only one more.
I'm a big fan of the 3-6-8-3 builds right now.
3-6-8-3. Yeah, that's just like perfectly balanced, and you kind of get a little bit of everything. I think going 5 running backs is fine too, especially with a guy like Genty. So it's you can do a little bit of everything here.
I know there's just so many in these last couple rounds. There's just so many good, just talented running backs that could be the one to land as the starter for the Chargers, for the Cowboys, for the Chiefs, potentially even depending on how much they invest in the position. That this late, there's still guys that could be going in the 100s by the time we're drafting because of the landing spots. There's just so many openings. So I do like taking. I mean, I've had a couple 3-7-7-3 builds, and I just to see which running backs end up being the ones that you need. I do think it's going to come down to that. So Noel just went right before Hunter Henry, huh? Because I apologize for getting us off of him. I do love that guy. Insane testing too, but I liked him anyways. Oh man, too bad to see him going. But surprising, you're over a couple hundred of you here already here. You love to see it first draft. Please do consider, we haven't even asked for that thumbs up button if you're on YouTube, the heart button on Twitter, wherever you're at. It does help us get out to more people, continue to grow. I do have my rankings at rotostreetjournal.com. I have to update them for the combine, but the best ball rankings are live. There's going to be, of course, Tootin getting bumped up and some of those rookie highlights from the combine, but ultimately they're largely set as to what I do believe for best ball drafting. But yeah, these last couple rounds, again, typically hammer running backs, the rookie running backs. But, there's some receivers. The dude from Maryland, was his name? Ty something.
Ty Felton?
Yeah, Ty, whatever that one is. He had an insane combine. He's solid after the catch. He's not really getting drafted at all. I have a note on my phone. I'm going to kind of open up and kind of pull some of them. But is there anybody late that you're beyond the rookie running backs that are obvious targets? Is there anybody else you're looking at in these late rounds?
Yeah, you can always take Deontay Johnson. He's a proven target earner. But no, I'm just kidding there. I do think that there is some argument to Ben Sinnott. He was everyone's favorite Sam Laporta clone. Zach Ertz will never stay healthy. Zach Ertz is old. He'll never play a full season. But, I mean, now you don't even have to have that argument. It's Zach Ertz is a free agent. So I do think that's an interesting if you're going to punt tight end. The one guy that I was excited to take earlier, which has now completely lost its steam, is Tez Johnson. But let's make this pick before. Who do you like here?
You want to go one of the rookie running backs, LeQuinn? Or,
yeah. Let's go with Sanders. Let's go, and then, but yeah, Tez Johnson. The balloon is completely deflated. Weighs in at 150 pounds and then runs a 4.5, I think it was 4.53, something like that. But yeah, it was brutal. You can't. I mean, like Tank Dell. What did he run? Like mid 4.4s, high 4.4s at high 160s, but still lighter and slower than Tank Dell. And Tank Dell is like the poster boy for the anomaly. Like he's the guy who is not the prototypical size of a receiver, not even close to prototypical. He's the outlier of the guy who succeeded at that size, and slower and smaller than Tank Dell. It's already a hard path to paint a picture for success for guys of that size, and he's smaller and slower. So it's
poster boy too. As much as I hate to say it, I love Tank Dell. Look at what's happened to the guy over his career. He's taken a beating already. Who knows if he'll ever be the same? I love him. He was, my guy a couple of years ago. I think I had 50% Tank Dell, and he made me look like a genius till he got hurt, and he's just never really been the same since then. All right, last pick. Do you want to pull up so I can see who we have available to us? I know it's like those balance build to go Tez. I like Diami here. He's a free agent, but hopefully they bring him back. And even if not, he looked good at the end. I like Diami Brown. And I like LeQuint Allen. And I like Felton. Those are like kind of the names I'm
trying to go Diami.
Yeah, I've taken him quite a lot just because he really came on. He's the leading receiver in the playoffs last year, which is absolutely insane. Most receiving yards over the entire postseason. And he just really seemed to click. And I know he's a free agent. So, in a weak class, maybe he gets a big deal for those late season heroics. And if not, maybe he's back with James Daniels, who sure they got Debo, but completely different style, different from Terry. He would still have that field stretching role. So I like taking Diami Brown there and giving ourselves a shot. Darius Slayton's another one. I don't know if he had already gone.
Yeah, he was off the board already.
I think he was. He's another one in this, again, a weaker free agent class that's like Chargers have interest in and might make him a $20 million type of receiver, which is an absurd overpay. But hey, he's led the Giants.
Free agent?
Yeah, he's a free agent, led the Giants in receiving 4 of the last 6 years. And he could end up on a team in a weak class. They're saying he's one of those sneaky guys to get overpaid, but also like get a good role on a good team potentially. So he's somebody I like late. I just this is the time of the year to lean into the uncertainty. It's whether 100%. It's the rookies or the free agents, that's where you're going to get some complete duds that you don't even sniff, but you got 20 rounds. You can take a landmine better than in an 18 rounder. And it's just the value gains you can get between now and when the draft's done, when the free agents are done. I didn't get a ton of Derrick Henry in the regular Best Ball Mania, but he was a free agent, and I just had a feeling like the Ravens, it's such a beautiful fit. What if it happens? He was going at the 60s in these drafts at this time last year, and I had like 35% Derrick Henry in the big board, and that was huge. Him and Bucky Irving were on almost like a half of my teams, and it was awesome. And so this is the time of the year to take those swings and just what is the ideal scenario? Maybe it plays out. Why not just draft it as if it did? And so, yeah, I like it. I dig what we did too. Not as many rookies as I like, but still, maybe I'm a little rookie feverish too, but it's been such a cheat code these last few years. I do the big board every year because I just load up on rookies and you end up just getting these huge value gains because of it.
No, you should definitely be hammering rookies. I mean, I like pushing for like 9 rookies in a draft in these 20-round drafts is not crazy.
Oh,
It's like you're basically on a handful of them at least. You're gonna get CLV based on just like landing spot alone. Just like immediately after the draft, like you're gonna snap your fingers, and 3 days later you're gonna have CLV. Like there's not gonna have to be any steam on them. It's you're immediately going to have value on those guys. So yeah, just loading up on the rookies in this pre-draft stuff. It's going to be it's always a key to succeeding, and the winning teams in these big boards consistently are chock full of rookies. So it's definitely it's like it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but it's the way to go. It's kind of a proven success strategy. So it's it's always good to be kind of out ahead on these rookie classes and kind of look into the buzz into where these guys might land and see what roles they might fit into in the NFL. So yeah, having rookie fever this time of year is by no means a problem.
and I love when you have it too, and you do exactly what the guy right after us in the 11 hole did. Thomas, London, Evans, like beastly 3 wide receivers, and then Hampton, Henderson, Caleb Johnson. One of those guys probably is not going to land in the best spot, but if 2 out of those 3 go into wide open backfields, boom. You were talking about Caleb Johnson. I love him too. He's one of my favorite rookies. Great zone runner. And there's so many. The Sean McVay system, the Kyle Shanahan system is all about zone running. And the Vikings, based on zone running right now, completely wide open. I imagine Caleb Johnson's there and he's just getting 20 touches in that backfield. Oh, could be beautiful. The other pocket I've noticed, and somewhere I love to attack right now, again, last year, the wide receiver frenzy, so many guys going so fast. I think it was called the avalanche, was what a lot of people started to term it. I do think we're getting to a point where running backs are getting bumped up just enough that round 4, you're getting Tet McMillan, the number 1, clear by a mile of this class, wide receiver 1. He could be easily going in the second round, by the time Best Ball Mania rolls around, if he's in a good spot. Devontae Adams is going round 4 or 5. Just got released by the Jets. What if he goes to the Chargers? What if he goes – there's so many spots. What if he goes to the 49ers because Ayuk's not healthy? The Rams, yeah. Like, there's so many spots Adams could go, and you're just taking this guy who's been legitimately – I mean, he had, I want to say, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns last year in 11 games. It was just the Devontae Adams of old. He had, in week 17, he had a 40-point day. I think it's 3 straight years now he's had 40 points like when you need it most in week 17. It's crazy. It's like clockwork. He does it every single year. And now you're getting him in round 4 or 5. Like, I like what the team did with Jacobs and Barkley. I've done that a couple of times where it's like, okay, you're going to give me the 2 guys that got 16 touchdowns at running back last year, probably going to do it again. And then I can go McLaurin, Adams, Hurts, Jaden Reed. I probably would have snuck another receiver in instead of Laporta at that point just to kind of get my 4th guy through 7 rounds. But I love those kind of starts. I find myself doing that a ton because there's just, yes, receivers still fly. I still think trying to get 4 receivers through 7 at latest 8, because there's that drop off. Like by the time it got to Jalen McMillan, maybe Golden, maybe Amika, I can't even know how to say his last name.
Emeka Egbuka,
yeah. I got to start learning the pronunciation of these guys. There is a drop off, and maybe one of him and Golden, especially Golden getting steam these days after the combine. I still don't buy him that much, to be honest. I don't think he's great. There's going to be a drop off, and maybe it's at Pearsall. Right around then's where it's like, if I don't have a 4th receiver, and now I'm looking at like Myers as my 4th, or like I'm hoping for a Cooper Kupp bounce back, or it's Darnell Mooney. But then you're also like, okay, what if the dude we took, what's his last name? Alec
Iamanair.
Yeah, constantly getting linked to the Rams because he's a great blocker and he just runs like crisp routes that McVay loves. Okay, if he goes to the Rams, he's probably going round 8, 9 this time in big Best Ball Mania. So sure, you want to follow those principles. Okay, we get our 4 receivers by 7, most times. But you can these rookies. You highlighted Noel Royals. Maybe it's Restapo. Like this is if you only have 3 receivers through the first 10 rounds, and then you just load up on a bunch of rookies. I know it's not the best rookie class, quote unquote, but I don't know. Any of these guys could be the one the Rams take at 26. And then you still got Thielen sitting there. That is probably going to be a top 35 receiver that you get at wide receiver 80. It's just what happens. So it's a fun year. There's just so many. It's just so up in the air already. But I do love that round, like 4 or 5-ish range of receivers, the Adams, the Tet McMillans, that range I've been hammering. And then that pocket of the Trey Harris, Christian Kirk. Like, I don't see anything much different from Christian Kirk to Jacoby Myers in their value right now, because Christian Kirk could go to the Bills and be their starting slot. Obviously, we need to know where he goes, but the only difference is that Jacoby Myers goes 4 rounds earlier. Like, that's where there's just like, is these round 8 guys that much different than these round 12 guys? And I don't think so right now. So, once that avalanche is gone, like, go for Keenan Allen. He's rumored to want to play for the Chargers again. Maybe he's the slot receiver. I don't know. There's just a lot of value late at receiver and early at receiver. And I don't want to be like just scrambling to take a round 8 receiver like Jacoby Myers, who's not bad. I don't mean to even hate on Jacoby Myers. I like the player, but they might sign a huge free agent, or maybe they draft Ted McMillan. So I don't know. I like this pocket, the beginning and the later for receivers. But yeah, what about you? Like, what's some holistic thoughts? And then I do got to get running because I'm going to the Celtics tonight, as I think I told you. But any last thoughts on like the draft overall, or pockets that you like to attack?
Yeah, I really like, you kind of already mentioned it. I really like what that guy in the 11 slot did, just hammering that string of rookie running backs. I really do think right now it is just all about the rookie running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been the talking point throughout the show. So I hate to not bring something up unoriginal, or something up original, but that's what the reality is. Like, there are so many of these guys who are going to steal starting jobs. And I was kind of having this conversation with someone else, like, this rookie running back class could set back the progress made by Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley this year, like, of the value of the running back, just because of how good they are. And they're all going to make $1 million. Like, it's the year to just hammer these rookie guys, and some of them are going to be duds. They're going to be a complete zero because they land behind a guy that's entrenched in the starting role. But some of them are going to be contending for the starting job from day one. Some of them will be contending for the starting job by week 8. But in the money weeks, there are going to be so many of these guys who are getting meaningful touches in legitimate offenses that I just think you have to have a couple of them here and there. And there's reason to, like, I don't want to lean on Bucky Irving as, like, you see, like, a 4th round guy could be a bell cow back by the end of the year. I don't want to lean on that, but like, with the depth of this class, that there's reason to believe that anyone in the first 100 to 120 picks of the draft could be like a real fantasy asset this year. So kind of just spreading your bets and grabbing the guys, and hopefully they land in the right spot and can land behind or in front of right away a guy who really we don't think of much as a talent. So I'm just really excited to grab those guys and pair them with some of the more established receivers, because I know, like, the receiving class is by no means what we saw last year. So it's an exciting time to be grabbing rookie running backs.
100%. I think that's the biggest takeaway, and I would agree. And just to wrap it all up, if you take nothing else away, there's just so many good rookie running backs, and there's so many wide open, valuable offenses that need them right now. And I cannot wait. I think getting those right, you don't know. It's a complete guessing game. But I think there's so many outs to getting it right, because there are the Chargers, there is the Cowboys, there is the Vikings, there is the Commanders. You could go down the list of all these explosive offenses that probably just look and see, oh, look at what the Eagles just did. Saquon got them over the hump. Let's get our Omari and Hampton. And then you suddenly got Hampton on the Commanders. And it's like, well, that guy should be going at the end of round 1. And so, it's all about hammering these rookie running backs. I'm fully with you. If nothing else, that is the single biggest edge that I think everyone can have right now. And the prices really have not, other than like Bashal Tutin, who's, I just see him right there. He went before Devin Neal, which blows my mind. And also, like, that's just crazy how far. I saw him go at 90 in one of these drafts.
That's too much.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. Maybe he is the next TJ2K, but, like, I don't know. We'll see. It's Bashal Tutin. Well, I have to learn a little bit more about him. Clearly a freak athlete, but a lot of dancing too. I don't know. He could be very exciting, but that's pretty steamy right there. Either way, though, rookie running backs, lots of value holes. That's definitely where to be attacking it right now. Mo, it's great to be back. Great to draft with you. I do like the squad we came out with. I'd say, as long as we can keep 4 p.m. Wednesdays consistent, we'll do our best. I know there'll be some challenges in the near future in terms of scheduling. It might have to be some audibles called, but you can follow both of us at Mo_FFB or at Roto Street Wolf to let you know when the schedule, what we will be doing. But we'll plan on 4 p.m. Wednesdays moving forward for as long as we can. for sure. So yeah, I just want to say all my rankings are at roadstreetjournal.com. We'll be updating those again with the rookie risers from the combines at the best ball rankings. Anything, Mo, you want to plug? I know you've been doing some exciting stuff this offseason and everything.
Yeah, just drop a follow on Twitter. A lot of combine Super Bowl content, and then as as we kind of get into free agency and stuff, I'll be moving over to the fantasy content. So a lot of drafts to be had here in the next, what do we have, 5 months before football starts. So there's plenty to be discussed, and we'll certainly be getting these, working our way through these rankings and through these discussions and everything. So that'll be happening both here and on my Twitter. So check that all out.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, guys, in a world full of fantasy sheep, be the wolf. Later.